So we had a question from Sweet, and then I'm going to get to the super chats. But Sweet had asked this earlier, and I think it's a good question. We've seen the Russians be routed before, and we've seen it happen reasonably frequently. It does not appear, at least yet, from looking at this, that they're fleeing as rapidly as we would have thought. We knew that morale was very low. We knew it got even lower after Prigozhin did his thing, but it still looks like basically a number of Russians are trying to flee. They are getting executed as they flee. But having said that, that's been the case since the beginning, and units have still been routed. And that does not appear to be happening here on the same scale. Is there a reason for that?
About a month ago, we saw several Russian companies fleeing. Basically, it was shown in the monitoring Telegram channels. There were different video footages. But as for the current situation, the thing is there are minefields, and there are very, let's say, intense minefields, because in 6 months, Russians unfortunately had enough time to prepare for this counteroffensive. That's why they have, let's say, more capability to fight back, to defend those positions. Again, we're talking about Ukrainian troops that use smaller groups to capture those positions, not like Russians by throwing just, plenty of meat at Ukrainian positions like they did in Bakhmut and all other areas. So probably that's the reason. Again, when they see that they're being attacked by smaller groups, maybe it doesn't look as terrifying as it looked in Kharkiv Oblast, for example, where they saw like a whole front moving towards them. So maybe this is the answer.
I think we need to put a definition here for people to understand. In military parlance, there are basically three operations or effects that go on with this. One is a withdrawal. That's where you withdraw under fire, you maintain the order of your formations, and you're continuing to resist. And thus far, most of what we've seen Ukrainian forces doing when they're put under pressure is they're withdrawing. The next thing you see are retreats. This is where the formation kind of is on the rough edges, but it's retreating in something that might be considered good order, but they're not really trying to resist. They're not really trying to delay the enemy. They're just trying to save their ass. We see this happening a fair amount with some of the Russian units at the smaller level, squad, platoon level units, where morale will just start cracking and they'll say, hey, we got to get out of here. What everybody wants to see the enemy do is rout. And that's what kind of we saw going on up north around Kharkiv last year. It's where the situation is just collapsing. Resistance is the last thing on anybody's mind. It's all about get away from the bad guys who are going to kill us. That's what everybody's thinking. We're hoping to see that. We haven't seen that. What we've been seeing are retreats and some withdrawal. But the Russians, in their defensive positions, have behind them other defensive positions. So even if a platoon in one trench decides to bug out and retreat, there's another trench line right behind that to maintain the line. And that's part of the problem here, is we're not seeing a rout because there's always somebody behind the group that's retreating that doesn't also start retreating. It's when you get a cascading morale effect where one group retreats and then the next group just sees them running, says, oh, we better save our asses too, and they start running, and so on, and you get this repeating pattern of everybody just bolting and running. We're not seeing that. And in part, that's because the Russians are using blocking detachments.
I have to believe that, yeah, when the line in front of you, you're like, oh, yeah, we've sent our best guys up ahead, and then you see those guys rushing towards you, arms in the air, flailing, like, run for your life. They're just, like, I have to believe that has a negative impact on morale. I'm not an expert.
And that's, if you're the attacking force, that's exactly what you want to have happen. It's, shock and awe, as it was expressed. It's, you create this sudden massive panic in the enemy ranks, and everybody just starts going, oh, I better run too because I have no chance of surviving. The Russians are countering that by having multiple layers. And the second thing they're doing is having blocking detachments so that when you start retreating, your own troops are going to shoot you to prevent you from retreating. So you're basically left with one of two choices. Either get shot as you're running away or die fighting in your own trenches. And there's some pretty alarming video that's come out from some of the drone footage showing a blocking detachment in operation. And you see Russian soldiers who are trying to retreat, and the blocking detachment comes out and just mows them all down.
It's such a beautiful destiny of Russian soldier who could literally stay home, drink vodka, whatever, grow beetroots and shit, and I don't know. But at the same time, they are now locked in a freaking trench in a foreign country where everybody hates you, and you either die from a Ukrainian bullet or your own Russian bullet. And I think it's absolutely beautiful. I think I wish like all Russian men would experience this,